celebration to last throughout the year. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We're gonna celebrate your party with you. Come on now.
Such a fun song and a little happy attitude to wake up and be here on a Sunday evening. Welcome to another episode of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement podcast. I am author Stephen Uriah. With me, as always, is my publisher and author, Susan Gabriel. As always, we are sponsored by Soul Sunshine. If you are an aspiring author out there and you want to be published, if you need help with marketing or animations or anything having to do with publishing, reach out to us. Visit us at soulsunshine.com. As seen in that opening video, we have surpassed 150,000 views now on YouTube. So that's exciting. We're starting to get more and more momentum. We're getting more and more subscribers. We're getting more and more likes and comments on videos. And it's just starting to pick up and go. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it has been. Congratulations.
Thank you. We've come a long way from that very first episode where we had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
And I believe our opening was a countdown timer that showed like 20 seconds till it went live or something like
probably. That. And we had that kind of lame green, just plain green overlay. With just, yeah.
We've come a long way.
I know.
Way.
Look at how nice this looks. You did such a good job designing and creating all of this.
It feels good. It feels good. And we've had on some amazing guests. We've had some fantastic conversations. Even back when we didn't know what we were doing, we still had some amazing guests back then. So
I don't think we've ever had. Yeah, we've never had a guest that I didn't enjoy having on the show. And I think that they enjoyed being on the show. So it's been really good.
I agree. It's been constantly evolving. And as we go more and more, we're going to have more and more guests and more people that watch and like and share and just everything like that. So how's been your week? Sunday.
Yeah, it's been a week.
Yes, it has. We've had some conversations this week about things that are happening.
Yeah,
a lot, but it's good. It's good.
Yep.
Talking about the week, the weather here in Jacksonville. I'm hearing folks back in Colorado that's starting to get cold, and I'm like, man, it is still 73 degrees here, and my air conditioner is still working, and I'm like, I don't know if I can ever go back to Colorado during the wintertime, just knowing how cold it is.
Yeah, I'm the same way, Texas, and I came from Colorado too. So Texas it's beautiful, 80 degrees, beautiful days. It goes down into the 50s at night, but still it's nice, beautiful weather during the day.
Yeah, agreed. But don't get me wrong, I'll still visit Colorado. So I got lots of friends and family out there.
Yeah, I don't.
But I love the warmth of Florida, man. I'm loving it here. It's so nice.
Yeah, and you've got the beach. It must be really fun. Yeah.
Oh, the ocean, 20-minute drive, ocean right there. It's been fantastic. So today on the podcast, we have a special guest, author Rick Sorenson. He is the author of the book Art, the Church's Response. So without further ado, let's bring Rick to the stage. Rick.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hi.
Oh, it's going good. Thank you for having me.
You're most certainly very welcome. Before we get started with anything, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and let us know more about you.
Well, my name is Rick Sorenson. I grew up in Idaho, and then I moved away and grew up. But I've always loved art, and I went to art school in Massachusetts, and so I'm both trained. I have formal training in art, and I've taught it as well to both privately in junior high and high school.
What kind of art do you like? Are you more of a drawing and painting, or
Um,
clay, or
yeah,
metalworks?
it kind of goes between landscape and figure. The
Mhm.
painting to cover my book I did, and so they're um, depictions of Idaho.
Mhm. What's your favorite style
Um,
or era?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I love basically every era.
Huh.
Um, I guess I really am partial to Chinese landscape paintings.
Ah, yeah, they are unusual.
Yeah, and they can teach you a lot too. And the elegance of them is just
Mhm.
really draws you right in.
Yeah.
They're masters of details, but details that are like, they use dots, but they don't look realistic in a lot of instances. They use different style canvas. They use different style paints.
Well,
A lot of it is.
they're basically a type of watercolor. They're ink paintings on paper usually.
They are beautiful. They are beautiful. So let's talk about your book, Art and the Church's Response. What's first inspired you to explore the relationship between art and the church? Was there a specific moment or experience that sparked this book?
Actually, a friend of mine told me that I should write a book on art for Christians, so that's what inspired the book. And so, um, as I thought about it, I was at an art conference when he
Mhm.
told me that. We
Mhm.
met. We hadn't seen each other for a year, and so he told me that because he knew I had kind of been writing, um, trying to figure out um, all the more the nature of art.
Mhm.
And so, as he told me that, I began to think about that. And so, as I was driving home from the conference, that's what I began to think about, and that eventually that you know formed the basis of the book.
Mhm.
Okay. Uh, a friend. Friends are always good at inspiration. They're always good at telling us to go do something. And unfortunately, some friends are also good at making us be like, "Man, that's not good. Don't 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 be writing that." So I'm
Yeah,
glad
have
that
pick your
wasn't your friend.
friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hey, some friends needed to be like that. They needed to be like, "Man, that is not cool, man. You shouldn't be doing that."
Yeah, if it's true, yes.
so, so in your book, you describe art as more than just visual. Can you share what it means to see art as an attitude and how that shapes the way we understand creativity?
Yeah, I I have a holistic point of view, and I mean that
Okay.
with the W, the whole of art, all the creative outlets that we do of music, drama, dance. Um,
Mhm.
we can just summarize it as art in
Mhm.
in our common language. And so you have that creativeness that's in us, and it will
Mhm.
come out in kind of whatever our inclinations are.
Mhm.
And so that's why I don't limit it to just the visual art where I was trained, but to all of creative aspects.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's really right. I think that's really true. There are so many different forms of creativity. It I like to see it all lumped under the concept of it being art,
Yeah, that's
because
the easiest label that we have for it. But
Mhm. Yeah,
our culture kind of limits us to just one area. And
yeah,
that's what we normally think of as the visual art when we say art. But
mhm,
really,
right,
it's all the areas.
yeah, yeah,
Agreed. There's also in creativity, I mean, like interpretive dance. Not everybody's going to understand it, but it's people who do understand it. It's like the greatest thing in the world.
mhm,
Um, even like when it comes to music, not everybody's going to have the same music taste. Not everybody's going to have the same um, music variety of things. But when you put yourself into it, it's the emotion of it that art brings out that I love about art. Somebody can look at the same painting and say they feel this way about it, where somebody else looks at the painting and feels something completely different about it. And that's why they say art is interpretation.
Yeah, that contributes to it.
Agreed. So why write this book about art and Christianity here?
Um, well, of course, my friend is the one that um, kind of spurred the idea in me. But as I thought about it, then I got thinking, well, if I write a book to Christians, then what are they going to want to ask? So
Hmm.
the first question would be, what does the Bible say about it? And so I began to look at um, the different concepts that relate to art that are in the Bible.
Hmm.
And it's not just visual, but there's music and,
Hmm.
uh, all the arts are touched upon in some way throughout the
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah.
And so I began to even look at what the Hebrew or the Greek words that were specifically used in those references were actually saying.
Hmm.
So, for instance, an easy one to know is, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Hmm.
Genesis 1 1. Everybody knows that.
Mhm.
So, the Hebrew word for to create is bara, B-A-R-A.
Hmm.
And I mean, there's some accents on it, but the word means to create as a process. So,
Uh-huh.
in the beginning, God created God created, or through the process of creating, God created the heavens and the earth. That means, when we say it that way, we have to stop to think about it. It's not just
Hmm.
God created, but now we're thinking, oh, God created through a process.
Uh-huh.
And so
Right.
we have to think about things differently.
Hmm.
And so that's the type of thing that I began to do throughout the book, because I began to take what the Greek or the Hebrew words that were actually used, and I looked up what they were really meaning.
Hmm.
And then I began to, in a sense, re-explain it instead of the surface idea we have of it, to look at it much
Hmm.
more deeply.
Yeah. What in your research for writing the book, were there any surprises? What was the most surprising thing that you ran across?
Um, well, borrow is one. That was one I did early, and
Hmm.
that made me have to rethink about or look at Genesis itself a whole lot differently.
Hmm.
Um, Even though I don't go do an examination of Genesis, I'm just touching up on these basic concepts. But it really made me start to think about things much more differently
Hmm.
myself. Um, let's see. There's a Now I can't remember it right off the top of my head. There's a verse in the New Testament that says to speak to one another in um, with psalms and hymns and musical songs, making melody
Hmm.
in your heart to the Lord.
Yeah.
And that making melody to your heart, the word is like to resonate, like a violin or
Mm.
a sound box on an instrument resonates
Uh-huh.
out. It's not the word making melody, it's this word that is to resonate out.
Hmm.
And so things like that make you now reinterpret these things you've heard before. Say, now
Yeah.
what does it really mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, resonating would mean there is some kind of a vibration involved that touches others, touches people, touches, other
Right.
people besides
Well, that's
yourself.
what that word. Now that you're telling me that, it helps me remember that word actually refers to striking the string where the
Uh-huh.
vibrations goes through the sound box, then out to everybody.
Right. Yeah. So I can see that. That's a really interesting analogy to people, um, communicating in song and um, spiritual uh, music to each other. Um,
Yeah.
is the
So, so
resonating?
there's surprises like that when you look at the actual words that are being said.
Uh
That
huh.
it's not a translation. You're looking at what the original words are being used and what they really
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I've,
things like
I've
that are surprising.
have you ever seen those experiments with sound vibrations when they vibrate from a guitar string and it forms like on sand? It'll form
Right.
um, lots of different variations of I forget what they're called, but they're just like artwork on a
Hmm.
There's different
vibration.
patterns that form from different frequencies.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
It's the frequency that moves the sand. Uh huh.
Yeah.
and I've always visioned those as like, for lack of a better term, the word of God, because in those vibrations we don't see them, we don't feel them, but when you put something together that's visualized for it, you can actually see the waves of life going through.
Well, in a sense, that's the whole thing when in Genesis, when God spoke things into existence, it's very
Hmm.
much along those lines.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. When you
What
speak, your voice vibrates. You creates vibration in a frequency. Um, and I can see that's first time I've ever thought about how someone could speak something into existence, and you do it through your voice, and I can envision it in that way.
Yeah, I think it's
now
very easy to do it that way.
Hmm.
what are your interpretations of how organized religion sees art? Because I'm thinking that your book correlates with that, correct? With that, how the church sees art and how it's interpreted.
Um, I'm, in a sense, I'm giving ways to understand what you're saying. So, um, the my first chapter, I'll give a little bit of background before I get to your answer, because that
Okay.
might help a little bit.
Sure.
My first chapter, I concentrate, as I said, on creativity, and then creativity being in us. That that's what God put in us. That we have to create as people. We can't help it. In some form,
Hmm.
we have to create. In fact, if you think about it, everything around you was created or came out in the imagination of someone and then was
Hmm.
created.
Hmm.
Then um, I go into how do you evaluate what's good or bad? And I personally think that art is much more objective than it is subjective.
Ooh, okay.
Um,
Dive,
it's
divulge further into
not
that.
only it's not only how it makes us feel, but we can tell if something's good or bad. In fact, I'll give you a scenario that I've never heard a no to. You've walked out of a movie theater and thought or said to somebody, "That was a great idea, but they didn't pull it off." I've never heard anybody tell me no to this. I've always seen them shake their head yes. And so I'm breaking down what we do naturally. And that is, if you think of a work as two basic parts, the idea and um, the way it's expressed. When the two parts, the idea and the expression, come together in like a symphony a harmonious symphony, we go, oh, that's good. But if they don't match up, if one area dominates the other, then we say, oh, they didn't pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
So that, but when we say, oh, that idea was perfectly expressed,
Mm-hmm.
there's no other, that's what we identify as good.
Yeah.
If it's not good, then if it doesn't match up, then we
Right.
say, oh, that's
Right.
bad.
Yep.
That's just a natural thing. They didn't pull it
Yep.
off. So now you can add on to that basic thing, how your experiences inform on that, the feelings that it provokes in you.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still this objectiveness of did it work or did it not work?
Mm-hmm.
It's much more objective, I think.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but when it comes to certain art, I mean, even religious sculptures or religious paintings or
Right.
paintings from the masters, the Renaissance era, Leonardo da Vinci, things like that.
Right.
A lot of it is very subjective. Um, Interpretation is not exactly how you see it, meaning behind things. Even like the Mona Lisa, is she smiling or is she content or is she sad and miserable because she had to sit there for 17 hours and that was a smile she had at the end?
Well, yeah, that's been debated for centuries.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's part of the mystery of that. But that's also part of the genius of Leonardo,
Mm-hmm.
that he gave such room for that. But as far as the religious stuff, we see good and bad works in throughout churches all across the world. There's stuff that's been depicted very well
Mm-hmm.
that still inspire us, as you mentioned, from the Renaissance,
Mm-hmm.
Leonardo or Michelangelo.
Yeah.
But there's also been stuff that are just, well, that's what's supposed to be there, but that's not really inspiring.
Yeah.
Well, give an example of that one, because I want to know what can be considered to be bad art.
Well, let's see. Well, there's so many depictions of Jesus on the cross,
Okay.
from
Mm-hmm.
basically say,
300 AD forward.
yeah, right, exactly. And only a few of them have really provoked any inspiration in people. Most of them are just Jesus on a cross.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but we remember the ones that inspire us, but we forget
Mm-hmm.
about the ones that say, well, that's just supposed to be there because it's supposed to be there. But
Yeah. It's just certain elements are in the picture because they are expected to be there, and there's no necessarily any thought to placement or the way they look or how they fit together, or the colors that are used or anything like that. They don't have any hidden I don't know, meaning, but resonance. That's a good word. There's
yeah, that's probably a
nothing there.
better way to think of it.
Mhm.
The icons that are done in Eastern Church and in the Russian Orthodox Church, they're all
Mhm.
basically the same.
Yeah.
They go by a formulaic depiction. And so
Mhm.
you follow the formula, and then, usually the monks through the Middle Ages that have made them, they're pouring their devotion into them.
Yeah.
They're pouring their devotion to God as they make it, even though they're following the formula. So the So, um, in a sense, you have to separate the process or the person going through the process from the product.
Hmm.
Now, I think you can judge the product pretty severely
Yeah.
and say, well, yeah, this is. I understand what you're saying, but the product, is just flat
Yeah.
or whatever descriptive word like that you have.
Hmm.
But even today, people will say, "Oh, this inspired me so much," and they pour their soul into something, and then you look at their product and you're going, ah.
I don't know how to reply to that.
Have you had that
Because
happen to you, Stephen?
yeah, of course. I've poured my heart, soul, and feelings into something to have somebody come back and be like, "It's just not that good, man. You do you," and I'll be like, "All right, my bad." But in the flip side, I've also poured my heart, soul, and things
Mhm.
into certain aspects, and they've come out absolutely brilliant, and they've
Yeah.
shown a
Yeah,
side of me that exactly how I wanted it to be depicted.
Uh-huh.
right.
It conveyed the emotion that I wanted people to see and to understand
Mhm.
and to feel and to empathize with what I went through to how I became. And I think that is incredibly important when it comes to writing or art, that you're not
Mhm.
just doing it to, I'm doing this just to make a buck, or I'm
Yeah.
doing this
Yeah,
just to create because I'm feeling creative right now.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this on a number of different episodes about the moment when you're in your creativity side, when you are actually in that moment creating, time stops. There is
right.
nothing around you. There's
Yeah.
silence. There is just
You're,
you
you're in
and
that
your
flow
creative.
state.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
And you have to get it out. And it's you
Hmm.
on everything that you are, just coming out
Hmm.
onto whatever medium you're choosing to bring it out on. And then when you're done, you can like step back from it and go, how much time just passed by?
Yeah.
Because it's like you don't even remember that moment. And it could be just a moment or it could be 4 hours.
Yeah. Now,
Right.
now there's this something new I wanted to talk about that Stephen and I have run into and have begun using is AI to create art. I wrote a book and published it. Had an illustrator do a do just basic illustrations, more traditional illustrations, and then I just felt like it could look better. I wanted it to be more realistic. It's a children's book. And so Stephen and I worked together to have AI create the illustrations for the book. And it was a kind of an experiment on one hand, just to see how does it turn out? How closely can Stephen match what's in my head? How closely can AI come to the what I would consider the ideal model of what's in my, and it was modeled after a little dog that I used to own. So there was a real image in my mind of something that had existed, and it was really an interesting experience. And I think Stephen found that using AI is not simple. It's not
Uh,
just you give it a prompt and you come out with something. And Stephen can take it from here and talk about that process. But in that process, you're creating, and yet you're using something that is a very different way of creating. You don't have like a brush or anything like that. You use prompts. So you're basically using instructions, and which is a very different way to create. But then again, you're back to that concept of speaking something into existence. So in a way, it's kind of like, the way God created. he spoke it into existence, and Stephen basically spoke it into existence using AI, which then interpreted what he said to come up with what the final drawing looked like. But it took a lot of prompts, a lot of changes, a lot of. I'll let Stephen talk about it because I know a little bit of what he went through, but he's really gotten a lot of experience now at that.
Well, one thing I will say on that one is if you want something creative out of something that is artificial, you've got to talk to it poetically. When it comes to prompts, you can't just say, give me a red car on a gray street on a Thursday afternoon in Pittsburgh and expect it to come out with what you want it to come out with. So you've got to actually use your emotions and interpretations into it. I need a red Cadillac from 2004 driving down a street in Pittsburgh at midnight where the moon is overhanging. There's a little bit of mist in the corner. There's trees on the outside. And you've got to go into this whole detailed description of everything in order to get the prompts that you're looking for. But going into it, I'm interested in how you see AI and the churches and art coming into this whole fruition, because it is the future right now.
Yeah, I know in general for the art world, it's kind of right now a controversial subject, and
Yes, it is.
and there's starting to become different art exhibitions that are now denying AI prompt art.
Right.
Where it has been allowed in some places, and the ones that it's allowed in, you have to specify that this is AI art.
Right.
Which, to the most part, you can tell
Yeah.
AI art from not.
It seems like it should be separated. I mean, if you're going to have exhibitions or contests or anything like that, it's such a different type of medium and way of creation of the art. It should be in its own category. I can't see that it should compete with traditional art. And I love traditional art. And my reason for wanting to do this was to see how realistic we could get to, what my real dog looked like. And but it's not the same thing. Traditional art is should be, I think, considered separately if you're in any kind of exhibition. It's and AI art should be in its own category.
Yeah, as far as for the church, I think it's still being experimental. It might depend upon either the size or the capabilities of who's doing it. So I think it's still up in the air.
Based on your experience, do you see the church accepting AI as art if it starts to depict the Last Supper, the resurrection, the crucifixion, the traveling during census time to go get counted in the census, the virgin birth, things like that? AI can interpret all these things and actually come up with a brilliant picture to depict it all. Emotionally coming across on things. Will the church ever accept that as something that can be valuable?
It might depend upon the image. As far as it being AI art, it probably depend upon the image.
Yeah.
A lot of the AI art that I've seen online is pretty bland. So a lot of that would fall into the category of kitsch, just like knickknacks and stuff you see in stores of all kind. It's
Right.
like, yeah, it's there, but it's not really anything you want. That's why
Yeah,
it's in
and
the
that's
stores
why,
all over the place.
yes, Stephen had to work very hard at creating the artwork for my book, to make it something that it would be interesting to look at, that and something that matched the words, something that had expression. And I kept saying to him, now, make sure that the dog Button, that she has an expression of, whatever is going on in the book, and that they all of the different characters were, were conveying expressions and showing certain, elements of emotion and things like that. So AI does not just automatically know necessarily, I don't think, how to create emotion unless you have to get pretty specific about it.
And I'm sure that's where you were more successful than like 99% of the other stuff out there.
Unfortunately, it's easy. AI nowadays, and there's so many free ones out there that some 16-year-old kid could just type in, make me Pikachu doing lightning on, I don't know, some world leader. And AI will interpret that and make it so, and it'll come up with this thing. And the 16-year-old kid will feel good about themselves, but the people who actually are looking at the art and saying, oh, Pikachu's got 7 fingers and he's not supposed to have 7 fingers, and
Yeah.
that's not the correct colors of Pikachu and things like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of not authentic stuff when it comes to it. But I
Mhm.
truly believe that if you put your passion into it, if you actually start to go into it where it is your human brain, your emotional brain, your side of things through interpretation, the picture is going to come out so much better than just saying, give me a dog barking in green grass.
So now
Mhm.
you're bringing up part of the creative process that only creative people understand and most don't, in that you have to push past the initial idea
Mhm.
to get to the life of it. You can't
Right.
just put down the first thing you do, but it takes work to bring out not only the full concept of what you're trying to convey, but
Right.
now go past that to bring out the life of something.
Mhm. Right.
And
And then
and most
combine that
people,
with, yeah, and if you combine that with telling a story, in addition to that, there it makes it even that much more, let's say, complicated.
right. So, I mean, that's just part of the creative process, and each medium has their own particulars about that,
Hmm.
of what you have to conform to in order to bring out each expression and for that. So, what you're talking about what you did, is that you went past the initial things to try to not only bring out the detail of what you're wanting for each specific page of what it's expressing, and you want it to not only have that, but bring out the the full expression of the story itself.
Hmm. Right.
Right.
Well, uh, you know, just writing a story, it takes that much work, just the story itself. Now you're adding illustration to it as well.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's going beyond what most people doing AI, they don't even understand any of that yet, because they
Yeah.
haven't come through the creative process to know what's all involved in it.
Hmm. Right.
Agreed with you. Agreed with you in that 100%. And
And so that's why most of what we see is very surfacey, because that's all people know.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
when
It just boggles my mind sometimes when I think about, um, the future and where we're going and what, can be done with AI. And in art in the art world as well as in other areas. Um, but it's something you don't want to think about it too long, or your brain will start melding.
Well, if AI is not gonna have truly creative people behind it, but just people that think that they can do it, then there's not going to be very much to it.
Right. But
It'll be a circus.
I think it's going to become an actual art form, and it's
Well, it
going to
could be.
become accepted, and it's going to become not a replacement, but just another medium. I mean, just like when they started using oil paints or things like that, maybe when that was new, people were not, as accepting of it. But mediums are, you know, a way. That's the method. That's not
Right.
really anything other than a method. And the same thing with AI. It's a method of getting the artwork accomplished and created.
Well, that's true. Maybe a closer analogy might be photography,
Yeah. Yeah.
where photography, it was thought at the beginning that it would replace painting, only to emerge as its own category
Exactly. Right.
with
Yeah, actually,
similarity. Well, go
I,
ahead.
I was I was talking about this with my friend, um, and one thing that AI art is going to do is it's going to make traditional art more valuable because there's going to be less and less people who are going to be doing traditional art. So the more tangible things are going to be more expensive come the way because you're going to have all of this over here that's going to be really easy to look at, and it's going to be bright and beautiful, and it's going to be shiny. But people are going to yearn for that realistic. You put your heart and your actual physical self into this and desire that more. So it's going to become more rare and in this case more valuable.
Yeah, I've been seeing some discussion groups about AI talk more along that line that real creative handmade works instead of
Mhm.
you know artificial works like that
Right. Right.
will become more desired than. And I think there's a variety of reasons that could happen. We're still too early to really know that yet. It's right now
Yeah.
still on speculation.
Agreed, but you can totally see where that's coming from because
Oh yeah,
a lot of the people who are doing the handmade stuff, they are starting to get older and they're starting to it's like the knitting stuff, the crochet stuff. A lot of the older generation would do crochets. Like my grandmother did crochets a lot.
Mhm.
And then there's a certain point that not a lot of people did them. And now all of a
Mhm.
sudden the younger people are starting to do them more, but they're starting to become more and more valuable, more and more
Right.
desired.
Well, especially in comparison to machine crocheted or machine made, you can make it look similar, but it doesn't have the same look as something that's been done by hand. So
Mhm.
I think it kind of falls into the same category.
Agreed. Agreed. So going back to your book here, because I love getting off topic and talking about things that are real world stuff. But with your book, ultimately, what is it that you want to message? Do you want to convene out there about the church and art and your thoughts on it and where you think things are going? Just lay it on me here. What is it? What is it you want from your book?
I guess there's two main things that I have from my. I would like people to receive from my book. One is that creativity is in you. That
Mhm.
our society has taught us that creativity is really only for the special people. It's not for everybody. And you see that through how kids progress through school. They start out at first grade, kindergarten, super creative, and by the time they graduate, they'll say, "I can't even draw a straight line, or I can't even draw a stick figure."
Yeah.
Whenever this is an involuntary reaction that people have when they meet an artist, and every artist and I mean right now, a visual artist. Every visual artist experiences this. They meet somebody and they say, "Oh, you're an artist." Well, I can't even draw a stick figure, or I can't even draw a straight
Uh-huh.
line.
Yeah.
That's it. They're not asking.
Right.
They don't care. But this person has to tell them that.
Yeah.
And I got thinking, why does this person have to tell them that? I think deep down they know they have creativity in them, and they believe society's lies that they're not creative.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah. That's
I
true.
like that. I like
It-
that.
I
and
think
this
that's true.
you can see this as a basic example in Sister Act 2.
Okay. I remember that movie. Great movie.
If you remember that, the girl that can sing super well is told she can't sing by her mother, for a variety of reasons. Mostly it's fear. And she has to now rebel and go sing. And of course, then her mother hears her sing and says, "Oh, I didn't really realize how good you are."
Yeah.
But through a variety of either friends or family, you'll often first get that you can't do it. You'll get it in school. Oh, you can't do it. It's the super rebellious ones that keep at it to do it.
Mhm.
Agreed. But
And
I think.
so
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, no, go ahead.
Uh,
Finish that.
So, we have creativity in us,
Mhm.
and we have to now develop it to express it.
Mhm.
And so um, that's the first thing. Most people in general do not think that they're creative. Only the special people, because that's what they were told throughout society.
Agreed.
Mhm.
And I think where we need to actually, as creatives, come out a little bit more is that creativity isn't just in visual art or music
No,
or talent like that. Somebody who is a, let's say, machine operator who has done everything with this machine. Now, to society, he's a blue collar worker. But if you look at it, he's actually creative enough in that where he knows exactly what he's doing, where his strokes are so masterful that
Mhm.
to pull that lever at the exact right time, to be able to do that so that way um, the project is done complete and on time.
Mhm.
There is creativity in there. To the
Yeah.
person who is a natural born leader who can get people to feel good about themselves and work together as a team, there's creativity in there. And I think
Yes.
that's where society starts to lose itself by not seeing
Mhm.
that creative side in the things other than the visual or
Right.
audio arts.
Right. Yeah. Like engineering is very creative.
Oh, absolutely.
or think of creativity a different way. Have you ever noticed when a community, a town is depressed, they'll bring the creative, um, whether it's dance or singing or art galleries, they'll bring those out into these depressed areas.
Mm.
Some of it they're drawn because the rents are cheaper now that they can
Mhm.
go, but there's often communities that will do this on purpose. They'll
Uh-huh.
encourage the arts into these depressed areas, and that's what brings life back into these areas. And now the
Mhm.
community starts to grow. Like cities where everybody went to the suburbs and
Yeah.
the centers were depressed, and then
Mhm.
they bring the arts into these areas and everyone comes back to that, and now it
Mhm.
grows.
Yep.
That type
Yeah.
of thing has happened over and over and over throughout the United States.
Yes.
And I find it interesting just from observing it that the arts themselves, the creativeness, is what brings the life back to the community. It's
Mhm.
nothing else.
Agreed. Agreed. Um, and, and,
And,
and like,
and,
like
and people love to watch. I mean, people who would say that they're not creative, they want to be around it
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
One thing
So,
that art does for us, no matter what type of art it is, it gets us out of reality, even if it's just for a few moments, and puts us into creativity where you can actually show emotion and people can actually let go of everything. So during those depressed times and during those depressed eras when they could stop thinking about how much they don't have something and they can just go and let themselves go and just feel art or feel music or feel something. It just gets them out of that frame of mind, even if it's just for a day.
and it expands their awareness.
Hmm.
They it's not only the feeling, but they now have expansion of both how they can view things, because art makes you view things differently,
Hmm.
and it might inspire them in their own areas of life
Right.
in in ways that we don't even know.
Hmm.
So how does the church interpret art?
Um, Usually, it's the same way that a government does. Does the message come across the way we want it to?
Ah, gotcha.
So, um, to back up a second, when the idea and the expression come together, we know that's good.
Mm,
Now, when the idea is the most important thing, and we don't care how it's expressed, that's propaganda. When the expression is all that matters and there's very little substance to it, that's just decoration. But when the idea, it's expressed just out of, I've been to comedy clubs, different places around the country,
nice.
and three different occasions that I can think of, comedians giving a relationship joke, because everybody gets those. And there's some guy behind me or beside me that goes, "Yeah," agreeing with the joke, but the emphasis of his agreement is, him yelling it.
Yeah.
And so, in that guy's mind, the idea of the joke and the way it's expressed came together so perfectly, he could agree with it enthusiastically.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, getting back to your question, most of the time throughout history, then the church has been wanting to get the right um, the right message across,
Okay.
and so it has to be um, like dictated by the priests.
Hmm.
Council of Trent in whenever it was, Middle Ages or the Renaissance. No, the Renaissance gave um, instructions for how things should be depicted.
You're talking about
Hmm.
the Council of Nicaea?
No, after that, this is like um, oh 1500s,
Oh, okay.
and so the depictions, had to be done a certain way because this was now decreed by the Council of Trent. And so one of the um, so this would have been Michelangelo would have been doing painting a little bit before this time, and so both Michelangelo and those during that time period were searching for how to depict these biblical themes in as true a way as they possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
That's where some of the Renaissance innovation was coming from, was them searching for truth, or how can we express truth as it's these themes are being depicted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, we're still amazed by Michelangelo's creation, where Adam is sitting here and God is coming down and they're about to
Right.
touch.
Yeah.
That still amazes us how that is able to fully convey this idea
Yeah.
500 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Yeah.
before that, it was just kind of the medieval depictions
Right.
that were a little bit more formulaic, but not necessarily. There was great amount of expression in the Middle Ages. As looking at it more recently, I've been noticing just how expressive the Middle Ages really were. A lot more than what we think.
Well, I agree, but look what happened during that time. The Renaissance is a direct reflection of the Black Plague.
Well, that's true.
The Black Plague came in and wiped out 40 to 50% of society at that moment in time.
Yeah.
What was left, like you were saying, depression-wise, we needed art to get us out of that depression because we just lost half the citizens at the time to a disease that nobody knew what was going on. It was just happening and happening. People were dying, and we didn't have what we have nowadays. So the Renaissance then comes up because we needed to have that expression of things. So you had more emotion, you had more intelligence, you had people whose voices weren't being drowned by other people because.
But for a time, there was also more freedom to the artist to search for that truth they're trying to find. And the priests were encouraging it. Up until around the end of Michelangelo's life. When Michelangelo painted the Last Judgment. Well, yeah, it was in the Sistine Chapel. He painted the ceiling, and then years later, he painted the Last Judgment, which is on behind the altar on one of the end walls. And the basic story is that, the Pope begged him to paint this Last Judgment. He wasn't going to do it, but he did it. And about 3/4 of the way of him being through the, painting of the Last Judgment, the Pope came in with the cardinal and said, "What do you think about this?" The cardinal told the Pope, "Now this is in front of Michelangelo. He's right there and he can hear them talking."
Yeah.
And the cardinal tells him, "Oh, it's awful. All these nude figures in the house of God, there should only be in bathhouses or brothels." And then they left. Michelangelo was not very happy about that.
I can imagine.
So he was very touchy. If you know anything of Michelangelo's life, he was one of those that was very touchy. Even a Pope had to go halfway to meet him in order
he's incredibly egotistical.
Yeah, some of it was that. Some of it was he took offense very easily.
Yeah.
And he gave out a lot, but if he wasn't appreciated, then he would storm off. Especially, giving out to the church, or they say they would pay him, but they never did. That's what happened with the ceiling. He had a hard time getting paid.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So, but in the Last Judgment, he painted this cardinal in the far right-hand corner with a snake wrapped around him.
Oh.
And everybody knew his depiction of the cardinal was so close that everybody knew it was this cardinal. And the cardinal, he tried to persuade and tried to bully Michelangelo, and Michelangelo wouldn't do anything with him.
Yeah, I bet.
He tried to talk to the Pope to persuade the Pope. And there's another account someone did that gave the Pope's response to the cardinal. And the Pope asked him, where are you in this? He said, I'm in hell. He said, well, you know, I have the power to grant absolution out of purgatory, but not out of hell. So that was the Pope's response to the cardinal.
Nice.
So you can still see the depiction of that cardinal in the far bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's funny.
Wasn't
pretty.
wasn't Dante's Inferno completely written by Dante for the ninth level of hell was depicted for the liars and the hypocrites, because his wife was a liar and a hypocrite, and the business partner that he was with was a liar and a hypocrite. So he put them in the lowest possible circle of hell for them to crawl out of.
Well, there you go. If you're the writer and you're in charge of making those decisions, so that's
right.
it. You're stuck.
Exactly. Exactly. You are in the lowest part of hell because you did me bad, but I love it. But I hate to do this to you, Rick. We are coming to the end here. Actually gone a little bit over, but before we go, at New Year's this year, we had made resolutions that we were going to be have more gratitude throughout the year. Be grateful for things that help us just to become better and more, and just live a happier and more fulfilling life. What is it that you have gratitude for?
Well, I've been married for 27 years, so that's
Nice.
one thing I'm grateful for, that we're still going.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to have gratitude for.
Yeah, it is.
Show this to your wife and be like, see, honey, I told you, I'm so thankful for you.
Yeah.
I am thankful for it.
Which is awesome, man. I love it. And I love that's where you went to. That was the first place you went to, was your marriage to your wife. I love that. In the ending, is there anything that you wish to share with our viewers about how they can get in contact with you, find out more about your books, and get educated on upcoming releases? Do you plan on writing another book?
I've been writing on Substack, and I'm basically what I call a casual textbook on art, or hitting more the nature of art. And I'll probably compile these articles into a series of books on the nature of art.
Nice. So Substack, we can find you on Substack.
Yes, you can find me on Substack, or go to my Facebook page as well.
Okay.
But all my creative stuff is really not on my Facebook page.
Okay. So Substack is probably where you want people to go rather than Facebook.
Right.
Cool. Share that with me, and I'll put that on all the posts that we have for this. What we do after this is we will air, or it's being aired live on Facebook and YouTube, but we'll make some clips from it, and people can see this throughout the week, the interview that we had with you. Is there anything you wish to share before we go?
And you can get my book on Amazon or a Barnes & Noble website.
Amazon and Barnes & Noble. We shared that out for sure. Well, thank you, Rick, for coming on to the episode with us and spending your Sunday evening on another episode of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I'm glad we were able to find some things that we can expand on and just talk about and let some free flow go in. Those are always my favorite podcasts, when we go off script and can smile and laugh and have a few good conversations with it.
Yep, I've enjoyed having a nice talk with you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was great.
So hang out in the green room, and we'll bring you in as we wrap up the show.
All right.
All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, that was good. That expanded my mind.
Agreed. I think we really, as people, need to look at art completely different than what we're taught as kids. It's so much
Yes.
more than just drawing, painting, clay,
Yeah.
music,
Right.
things that people automatically assume are creative, and get more into nitty gritty of creative things.
Hmm.
Being good at your job, being a good person. I
Hmm.
mean, a lot of that has to do with creativity as well.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, in the end, we're not robots. You can't hit
Yeah.
Control Alt Delete on some things.
And what wasn't there a book called The Art of War?
There was the Art of
Yeah.
War.
And you would not think of war as being artistic.
That's true. That's very true. But yeah, that had some very prominent poetic stuff into it
Uh-huh.
that made you really think on the Art of War.
Yeah.
Very old book. Very old. That's interesting you brought that up.
Yeah, it just popped into my head. I told you it expanded my mind.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
All right. So we have one more episode before our Thanksgiving special
Hmm.
next week. So, Rick, if you're still listening, we will bring you back for that Thanksgiving episode to just give an update, say hi, and share some eggnog or apple cider or whiskey, whatever you feel like having that night, and talk about the things that we're thankful for. Did you wanna say anything before we go, Susan?
I think I've said it all.
Sounds good. Well, everybody, I want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement podcast. I want to wish you all a happy, safe, wonderful week next week. To our veterans out there, Veterans Day is coming up on the 11th.
Hmm. Yep.
Thank you for your contributions to our society. Thank you for serving. Thank you for protecting. And for those who served the ultimate sacrifice, we thank you for that as well. And we will see you guys next week with another episode of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement podcast. Have a great week.
Bye.
Ever dreamed of seeing your name on the cover of a book? As a book publisher, we understand the challenges of self-publishing. If you're lost in the process, wondering about illustrators, book coaches, or formatting issues, worry not. At Soul Sunshine, we're here to guide you. Let's turn your dream into reality. Contact us to get started.